Vince sent me a link to this free energy generator video suggesting I should build one, but I'm like, that's all quackery. That generator is a motor powered by hidden wires. But then he pointed out he does show it running without the generator on it, so I had a closer look at the video. So the clip in question is this one here, where he starts the thing up by giving the flywheel a spin with his hands, and I figured, oh yeah, no problem, he's actually playing this video backwards, so the spinning up is actually slowing it down, and that's how it speeds up, because the whole clip is backwards. But it's more complicated than that, because if we move forward in the video, after it running for a bit, we actually see the thing coming to a stop again. So this can't all be just one clip playing backwards. Here he's slowing it down, eventually comes to a stop. So clearly there must be a cut in there somewhere. Now the guy walks out of frame briefly during the video, and then he walks back in, so I figured that's where the cut must be. So I started having a closer look at that. And I looked at the springs, the amplitude of vibration, and here it changed suddenly. So I started looking for a cut there. So I looked at it frame by frame, and on YouTube you can move backwards one frame at a time with this key and forwards with this key. Very handy feature. And looking at this crank here, we'll advance one frame. We can see it goes backwards this way. Keeps going around, round and around, and around, just keep turning. And see what happened here? It moved this way instead of that way. So going back, see it's coming around like this, and suddenly jumps this way again, and then it continues on its way, and it's going at a different rate afterwards. It's actually going faster after the cut than before. But at the time of this cut, which is between these two frames, the guy is still within frame, so I figured he must be using some split screen to cut that off. But then I found more cuts when the guy is totally within frame. So for instance here, the guy is standing around the machine, and watch that flywheel, watch the strobe effect on there. See, it's kind of steady, and there, boom. It just changed suddenly in terms of speed. So clearly there was a cut and the guy is totally within frame, so what's going on here? Of course, you could just say, well, the machine is just working really well and accelerated right there, right? But I'm not one to go for that kind of theory. So I figured he must have done some compositing, because if you watch when he's interacting with the machine, his hands never get in front of any part of the machine. Never. And you don't see any reflection of him on the wheel either. Except that's not true, because if we go back to when he starts the machine, he's actually touching the machine, so that can't be composited. So there's got to be a switch between compositing and not composited somewhere. And so I started looking for that, and I found a clue. Watch this trapezoid shape here. See how it suddenly changed, and now the shadows don't change at all. If we go back here, we see the motion in there, and boom, it's light, and that never changes with him walking around the machine. This stays that same color. So this is the composited part, and that's composited with the machine. He should have really composited that to be with that scene, but laziness. The other thing I've noticed is when the machine is shaking, we see this edge shaking, and we don't see this edge shaking back here. So this edge is composite with him, and this edge is not. And also, we never see any reflections on the flywheel from his hands while he's walking around it. But at the end, when he's walking past the machine, we do see that. Let's go back to the end. And he comes back in. Notice here we see the edge shaking, so this is non-composited. And he comes back in. Did you see the reflection there? There, you see the reflection? That never happens when he walked around the machine. So we're back to the non-composited part, and it has to be because he's grabbing the springs to slow down the machine. Although ironically, this is actually not slowing down the machine all that much from what I can tell, because the machine on its own is quite inefficient, and it slows down its own quite well already. And I know this machine is actually quite inefficient because watching the whole segment of the demonstration carefully, there's a cut in this part of the machine that's every 5 or 6 seconds. So basically it spins down fairly rapidly, and he stringed together a whole bunch of clips of the machine running. Because it slowed down so much, he kept having to flip the clip. I think it would have been more convincing if he hit a motor behind the flywheel, which would have been possible by attaching it to a bracket that attaches to this rail. It kind of goes diagonally back, and that would also make it hidden in this view. But that would have been a lot more work than video compositing. And you know what? I mean, once you look at it, the editing is pretty obvious, but most free energy types are not that kind of skeptic, so they're not going to look for the flaws in the video, so it's good enough. But it's so easy to trick things with video. So here it looks like I'm on a video call with Steve Ramsey in a video I made with him 10 years ago. But there's never actually a Skype call. I'm interacting with a completely blank laptop computer, and I composited that in much later. And we went way over the top on that front in this video. So here again, looks like Steve Ramsey on there, and we're passing things through the computer. So this is now obviously fake, but if you didn't know that you can't do that, it might be convincing. But something I'd like to point out is in my build videos, there's actually way more cuts than you would imagine. Obviously, some cuts you can see, but by putting the camera on a tripod, which this fake energy video also had, it's very easy to make a cut because things don't jump so much. And my favorite place to put a hidden cut is actually when things are in motion, because then it's harder to see, which is also what was done in the spring video. The cuts of the spinning machine were all while it was in motion. So for example, when I'm using a screw advance box joint jig, I do a cut like that, advance, do another cut, and it's kind of boring to watch me go all the way across, so I usually cut out a little bit, so watch this. And did you see it jump over across? And let's try another one. I will jump off of this box. And here you can see how I actually filmed it. Now I haven't done any deliberate trickery like compositing or green screen since that video I did with Steve Ramsey back in 2012, but I do use cuts a lot to hide stuff. So those two tricks I just showed you, those are just cuts, and those are really easy to do, and I use that in my videos all the time. I cut out a lot of dead space to make it flow much better.